Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of the Mission Matters Marketing Podcast, your source for all things marketing. My name is Adam Torres. You can follow me on Instagram at AskAdamTorres. Keep up with my book releases, book tour schedule, signings, all that other good stuff. Always love to connect with you there. And as always, if you'd like to apply to become a co-author of one of my upcoming books, just head on over to the website, missionmatters.com, and click on Become an Author to apply. All right, so today I have Gresham Harkless Jr. on the line, and he is owner over at Blue 16 Media, and he's also host of the I Am CEO podcast. Gresham, welcome to the show.
Adam, appreciate you having me on.
Oh, man, so I'm excited to get into your podcast, I Am CEO, and I'd love to support other podcasters in the podcasting communities. One of the great joys I get, but before we do that, let's get a little bit further into what you're doing over at Blue 16 Media. So first, tell us a little bit more about the company, please.
Yes, absolutely. Well, Blue 16 Media is basically a digital marketing company. We focus on web design and SEO for entrepreneurs and business owners. We kind of niche focus on WordPress websites, so we usually try to build those websites, and then usually after you build your website, you want to make sure that it is hitting your goals. So that's where we focus on primarily the SEO, which is super broad, but we do everything from claiming backlinks to making sure you have the correct title tag and meta description to actually creating content for clients. So kind of from soup to nuts, depending on what people are looking for, we try to help to make sure that ability is increased on search engines and across the internet.
Man, I love it. And I think that's also a great transition. So I know one of the topics you're known for helping business owners is kind of getting through that concept of them being a media company. So you are a media company. I know that because I am a media company, but a lot of other business owners don't know that because maybe they're not in the media business. So help us bridge that concept for them. Where do you want to begin?
Absolutely. Well, I'll just take where you left off. I mean, I think in this day and age, you have to have that media company mindset. And I think that if you look at media, as I sometimes kind of define it as simply creating digital content, you'll kind of look at it maybe in more of a simplified way and see that it's not just, oh, I have a podcast or I have a YouTube channel, but it's, oh, I have a Facebook page or I have a Twitter account. And I think that's really the biggest thing that a lot of entrepreneurs and business owners and organizations can really leverage is having that mindset. And I think usually when I go through and I talk with clients, I will have everything positioned really kind of based off the three kind of simple questions that I have in the very beginning. And that's around your target market, that's around the resources you have available to you, and what I like to call on my show the secret sauce, which is your unique selling proposition, your differentiator. And I think so many times once you are able to answer those questions, it allows you to really start to figure out how you're going to create your marketing strategy, what certain mediums you're going to choose, what you're not going to use, because you're always using those three questions as your overall filter.
I love it. And you don't have to give a name, but I know you work with a lot of clients, and when you're working on building their brand, whether it's website, SEO, all the other things you do for them, can you give an example of how, somebody that you worked with maybe in the past, you transition them from this thought process of, I know they came to you, they're like, I have zero online presence, and then you kind of showed them what being a media company was for them and what it meant in their business and kind of what that content looked like. Because I feel like some of the people listening, they're not making that connection yet because they haven't done it yet, and so we're going to help them make that connection today, Gresham.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the biggest thing, and it's so prevalent from everything from solopreneurs on up to organizations on how exactly to do that. But I usually say once you answer those three questions, what has happened with me is you sometimes get people that are at different stages. Sometimes they have Facebook pages, sometimes they're startups, and they don't have anything at all. So a lot of times that resource question to me is the most important question. So when I work with clients, I get an idea of resources. For example, if we're building a website specifically for a client, I'm going to do and figure out that if they're not as resource, blessed, so to speak, they're probably going to want to do a lot more DIY. And understanding that helps me to understand from a foundational standpoint with building a website what exactly they will want to do and how to build a website so that they're able to make the updates and changes themselves. But even taking that a step further, I had a client who basically was looking to create a podcast. So he had what wasn't a well put together website, and we basically rebuilt his website as he was rebuilding his entire brand. And the idea was that he was going to make the updates himself, but he also wanted to know how he would be able to kind of leverage his podcast to to start an entire brand, to create events and programs and workshops and things along those lines. So really keeping that idea in mind with what you're doing from that daily basis, but having it kind of extend so much further is really, really important. And if I could take it one step further, what you want to try to do is really get into the hearts, minds of your avatar, your target client, and really understand the types of things that they're looking for, why they're looking for it. And when you're able to do that, it manifests itself in blog posts and podcast topics in so many ways, but so many times we're kind of not focused on that, and we're just kind of doing stuff and throwing that spaghetti against the wall, when in reality we need to be focused on that strategy aspect.
Man, I love it. And I think that's, I guess the next obvious point for this would be, okay, so now we realize we're a media company because we don't have a choice whether we want to be one or not. No social media or no media presence is a presence. So you're making a statement if you have nothing out there. So whether you want it or not, you're out there, for good or bad. I mean, how you'd interpret that's up to you. I'm not here to judge that. But let's just say that, okay, we all understand now we are a media company. How do we start thinking about the framework of reaching our target markets in order ultimately, obviously, to reach our goal, whatever that may be?
Yeah, absolutely. And I have kind of like a 6-step process that I go by, and I basically tell everybody, and I don't know if you're a fan of like sweet potato pie, Adam, but that's my absolute favorite dish. And what I usually say is, whatever your favorite dish is, you want to really think about that, and that's how you want to approach your marketing. Because so many times when you realize what exactly you want to make, you'll go to the grocery store. Sometimes you go when you're hungry, and you'll pick up so many different ingredients that you don't actually need. So what you really want to do is, after you answer those 3 questions that I touched on, you really want to build that foundation, which I call your crust, which is like your website or your blog, and then you go to the quote-unquote grocery store. You figure out what ingredients are going to help you to reach that goal. Mine's a sweet potato pie. Yours might be something else. But the idea is that you're getting ingredients that are integral to your target market. And so many times we go to the grocery store and we pick up literally everything that we can find, forgetting what we're actually trying to make. So whether that be LinkedIn, whether that be Facebook or Instagram, at the end of the day, you want to make sure that you are paying attention to that, avatar who you're trying to target, and picking those social media platforms or, a podcast or a YouTube based off of how that target market is interacting there.
Man, Gresham, I think you just now wrote my new intro. I'd like to welcome everybody to the Sweet Potato Pie Podcast, where we're putting together recipes to get your business known. I'm in, man. I love sweet potato pie. Come on, Gresham. Don't even.
There we go.
So that being said, let's talk a little bit more about your podcast. I want to fit that in too. So I Am CEO podcast. Love promoting other podcasters in the podcast community. What kind of content can my audience that's going to go over there and check it out expect?
Yeah, so the podcast itself is part of the overall CB Nation. So like, I'm really big on, taking my own medicine, so to speak. So the podcast is one of the ways we try to connect with our target market. So we'll interview entrepreneurs and business owners in about 16 minutes or so. You'll get lots of laser-packed information. But the overall goal for everything we're trying to do is to help business owners be more successful. And our philosophy on doing that is we try to provide a platform for entrepreneurs and business owners to talk about themselves, their background, and their business. And then we really try to peel back that onion and get some behind-the-scenes hacks and nuggets and some tactical things that everybody who listens to the show can really implement at that very moment. So it's a laser-focused podcast, everyday podcast, and it's really focused on hopefully helping listeners, entrepreneurs, and business owners and CEOs be more successful.
All right, I got to put you on the spot. What's one of your favorite episodes? And I know they're all your favorite, but what's one of the favorites? Come on, you knew I was going to do it. You got to do it.
I knew you were going to do that. You always have to be prepared. So just in case she's listening to this, to start out my podcast, my mom has an embroidery company, so I have to do that. Since you put me on the spot, Adam.
If you want some more sweet potato pie, you better do that.
Exactly.
No sweet potato pie for you is all I heard.
Exactly. So I have to say my mom's episode. I interviewed her the very first episode, and the 100th episode that I had, she interviewed me. So getting the opportunity to really, hear and see a lot of things that maybe I didn't necessarily see in myself, but my mom can kind of speak to, kind of helps to put everything in, good frame of like why you do exactly what you do for your family and to take care of that. So I think that has to definitely be my favorite episode.
Oh, that's awesome. So Gresham, if somebody's listening to this and they wanna connect with you either on Blue 16 Media or to get more information about your podcast or any of the other works that you're putting out there, what's the best way for them to connect?
So I have everything basically on my personal page. I have links to all the different projects that I'm working on, and you can find that simply by going to imgresh.com, and that's GRESH. The first 5 letters of my name. So that, again, that's imgresh.com.
Fantastic. Well, Gresham, been awesome having you on the show today. Appreciate all the tips that you gave and also the background on your podcast and what you're doing over at Blue 16 Media. And to the audience, as always, thank you for tuning in. Hope you got a lot of value out of this. If you did, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast, leave me a review on the Apple iTunes Store, and if you're watching this on our YouTube channel, Mission Matters Marketing, definitely give us a subscribe there, but also leave us some comments on the video. Love to hear your thoughts and what kind of businesses and projects you're working on. Let's not let the conversation end here. Let's take it over to the YouTube community. And Gresham, thanks again for coming on the show.